Hi there everyone, Life DIY Josie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Thrifty Thursday when I do a throwback of one low budget idea every Thursday. For this DIY, I'll be using this empty packaging box, and I figured the box is something durable that I will be able to use as an organizer. So I cut off the lid first, making sure that I cut it straight. At first, I left about 1/4 of an inch there just to see if I will be able to use it as a support later on. I will be using these 4 wooden frames from Dollar Tree. This is a 3.5 by 5 inch frame. It is a new frame that they came with, and I tell you, the material on this one is really amazing. And I like the fact that it already came with its own label holder. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and remove the inserts. I'm going to be keeping the glass on each one. I also kept the 3 fasteners just to kind of give it a little bit of a guard, while I'll also hot glue the edges that connects the glass to the inner part of the frame. So you notice that I didn't put the hot glue first and then put back the glass. I just did it or used it to seal the spaces or the gaps, and it works just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the other 3 frames as well. So now that I have them, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my pieces of wood that I purchased, a set of 5 stakes or wooden stakes or garden stakes that I got at 99 cents only store for $1.99. Each of the stakes measure around 1/2 inch thick. So now I'm gonna be measuring it to the length of the frame, and when I measured it with my ruler, it's about 6 inches long. And I have this miter cutter that I got at Amazon, and I use this whenever I'm cutting or working on smaller pieces of wood. So I cut it to size, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and cutting several of them, actually a total of 7 pieces. I'm also cutting or trimming that 1/4 of an inch that I left, the overhang that I thought I might need. So now the 2 sides line up. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my Gorilla wood glue to the pieces of wood that I cut out, and then apply them and connect them to the frames. So there will be 1 piece of wood in between the 4 frames, and then towards the end add an extra wood piece. So there will be 2 pieces in the beginning of the frames, and then at the end there will be 2 pieces as well. Each time before the glue dries up, anything that oozes out, I'm wiping it with a damp paper towel. So I'm also applying the glue on the side of the frame on this one, and then attach it to the wood piece. Like I said earlier, all of them will be connected next to each other, and there will be 1 wood piece that I cut out in between those frames. So I've attached all of them. You notice there are 2 pieces of wood on each end because I needed those to fill the gaps to cover my box. And I'm flanking them with heavy items. So on the right, I have my organizer for my tools, and on the left are my journal organizers. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out a cardboard to fill in this unlevel corner here or end, and then I'm just hot gluing it in place. It doesn't have to be so flush. I just need it so that it will have an even surface that doesn't have any big gap. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my popsicle or craft sticks. These are the jumbo sticks that I got at Walmart, and I'm just marking each end where I'm gonna do my cut, because I am just going to go ahead and hot glue 6 pieces of this to the side to make it more like a wooden box piece. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a sharp pair of scissors to cut my first stick on the lines, and then I'm gonna go ahead and test that for size, and if it works out, I'm gonna use that as kind of like my guide or my template to cut the other pieces. So I need a total of 12 pieces of jumbo sticks. Again, you can get them at Walmart. They also sell them at Amazon, and at Walmart I think it's just like 98 cents for a pack of 20 if I'm not mistaken. Dollar Tree sometimes carries them as well. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and apply hot glue and then connect all of them to the side. 6 pieces on one side and 6 pieces on the other side, just to cover everything. And here it is. This is what it looks like after I hot glued them to the side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and attach my front. So this is when I noticed I think I should have done something differently in the beginning before hot gluing all of my glasses onto the frame. I should have used the frame as my guide, and then perhaps after I connected all the pieces together with the wood glue, I should have then saved for the later part to hot glue the glass. But you know, sometimes whenever I'm doing my DIY, that's when I realize, oops, I made an oops here. But here's how I'm gonna solve it. I'm gonna go ahead and put the inserts kind of like laid back on where it's supposed to be earlier, but I'm not gonna glue it into place, but I'm gonna put glue dots. You can also put double-sided tapes, or maybe even apply a dab of hot glue, although it dries too fast. Probably that's not a very good idea, but anything that can help it adhere quickly. So glue dots or double-sided tapes. And then I just line up the side where I'm going to be doing my cut to the frame, and then hoping, and it did work. Here it is. Again, you don't have to make this kind of tedious process because I've done the mistakes for you, and what you can do is do it right when you do it. So I'm applying a little bit of hot glue there to keep it straight, each one of them, because I'm going to be using them as my guide so that I can mark them with my colored pen, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my cut as well. So I'm using my ruler as my guide, and then I'm tracing with my colored pen the sides. Now, if you notice, I'm just tracing the 3 lines, the bottom and then the 2 sides, but I'm not tracing the top because it is going to be so thin anyway. What I'm going to do is just cut through it. So I'm just using my box cutter again. You know, this is just a simple Xacto knife or box cutter. And I'm even motioning that you can do an X there if you want to, but I decided to just do it and follow the lines like so. So as you can see, I didn't leave anything. If my box was a little higher, then I could have left more materials, but since it's going to be just so thin, it just wouldn't matter anyway. Now I'm going to be applying again my wood glue onto the spaces where my frames will be sitting or connecting to. And you don't have to worry about support here because I cut out the top. I am going to show you that there will be support here as I progress with this DIY. Make sure that when you're applying your glue, apply it generously because you are going to be connecting the frames. So be generous with it, which is what I've done. And then I'm gonna go ahead and then put or lay down my frames on top of them, like so. Make sure to act quickly. The good thing about wood glue as opposed to hot glue, it doesn't dry as fast, so you will have a little bit of time to adjust things to make sure that they line up. So I dried it up about 2 hours, and then I applied hot glue to the seams, as you can see here, just so that I have a little bit more of security there. I'm securing it in place, even though the wood glue is already in my mind enough, but it always helps when you have an extra support. So I've decided to add heavy objects again and lean it back to the wall to cure it overnight, and I called it a day. The next day, I've decided to use the lid. I've used every piece here, just so you know. So I'm cutting this one to size here, and I've noticed that this is gonna be the exact size that will fit inside. So I just cut it with my pair of scissors. And then the one where you see there's a tape there, the white tape, that's the one that I'm going to be putting at the bottom so that it will be more leveled and it will add a little bit more of support at the bottom. So I just trimmed a little bit on each end to make sure that it fits securely, and then I just pushed it down and voila. Now the tape, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm just gonna leave it there because when I fill this up with things, it will be covered by the items I'm putting inside. So now I'm gonna go ahead and measure the inner part and then create my dividers using my remaining piece of that lid. So I'm measuring it about 7 inches long, and then I'm marking this piece here of cardboard in equal size. And then I drew lines to subdivide them, and then that'll be my guide when I cut with my sharp scissors again. So that's what I'm going to be using as my divider. And what I do is I just try to make sure that the first one fits first, and if it doesn't, I just go ahead and trim it until the perfect fit is achieved. As you can see here, I'm still making cuts on each side. And then what I'm going to do is with the one that fits first, I'm going to use it as my template. I've cut out 2 angles on the bottom, one on each side, so that it'll be easier for me to put it in place. And then here I'm kind of testing where I'm going to be putting my remaining pieces of wood. I'm actually almost running out of wood, but I know that to make this box more secure, I need 2 long ones. And so I cut those in equal size as well. If you notice, I'm not really giving you the exact measurement because your box may be different than mine. Now I'm showing you here another box. This is actually an Amazon packaging box that I'm using, and I'm cutting them, tracing the dividers, because I figured those that I cut out earlier were too thin, and to double them up would be better, and also camouflages the decoration or the printed part, like the color purple as well as some letters there. So it hits 2 birds with 1 stone here by camouflaging that, as well as providing the thickness, making my dividers more secure. So I'm just using my scissors again to cut out these pieces after I hot glue them together. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and test them out, see if they fit to size. So I'm gonna leave this raw. That's the reason why I want it double-sided looking like a cardboard. Actually, they're not going to show up once I fill them up. But you can do whatever you want. You can put contact paper, any decorative paper, or even paint the inner part if you like. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be applying hot glue to the bottom part and also the sides so that I can secure each of the divider in place, like so. Next, I'm testing where I'm going to be placing my long pieces of wood and then see where I'm going to be securing them in place. At first, I was going to be putting this one here behind the frames, but then I figured perhaps I do not really need them there because I want the opening to be really huge too. I don't want too much obstruction. So I'm going to be putting it on top of the frame, thereby finishing off that top part there, and then I'm placing the other piece of long wood behind it. So I'm just going to be applying hot glue here, and then I'm going to go ahead and place my long piece of wood. So I lean it back against the wall to make sure that it's straight, and then I pressed each end or on top of the wood to make sure that it's secured in place. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to take the footage of those two small pieces of wood around 7 inches long each to secure them in place or attach them on the left and the right side of my box. So one on each opposite end. And then here, I'm applying my Gorilla Wood glue to the bottom of my stick and then putting it on top of my assembled frames, thereby finishing it off. So like I said, I had more leeway or time with the wood glue, so I was able to reposition it. Now I have a few more pieces, smaller pieces of wood that I need to cut, so around 3 of them, to make sure that those dividers will have a good finish as well. So I measured them around 7 inches long each, and then I'm cutting 3 pieces. As a matter of fact, one of them will have a little bit of a pointy end because I'm running out of my pieces of wood. And then to attach them to the top of each of the cardboard dividers, I'm applying wood glue to the bottom of each of my wooden pieces to finish them off. Doing this makes this box more like professionally done or more high-end rather than keeping or leaving those dividers bare. You can also use popsicle sticks to cover them or even dowel rods, as well as also use those barbecue skewer sticks. Those will work as well. Now, speaking of wooden skewer sticks, I'm using them also to fill in the gaps here on the side, just to frame my craft sticks. So I cut out 4 pieces on each side to just create the gap fillers made of the popsicle sticks. So I put those on each side. After drying for about a couple of hours, I went ahead and applied my first coat of paint. By the way, before applying this first coat of paint, I did apply my caulk on the seams so that it will not show a lot of gaps, because with the wood there were some gaps there that I had to kind of cover with the seal or caulk. Now you can also use wood putty if you like, if you have it, but the more readily available for me was more of the caulk that we use for sealing the tubs or the sinks, and it worked out just fine. What I was using is the white finish one, And they sell that as well. A tube costs only $1 at the Dollar Tree, but even cheaper if you go to the home improvement stores. They only sell them for like 70 cents each. So just a tip for you there. The thing that I didn't seal here is the gap in between the sticks here, because I wanted to make it look like it's shiplap. So that's why I left a little bit of gaps in between. And I love it. And then I'm just dry brushing my chalk paint. I'm going to be linking in the description box some of the items that you wouldn't find at Dollar Tree. I purchased them at Amazon, like the chalk paint, wood glue, even my cutter, in case you're interested, because sometimes I get asked what I was using and they want to know where I got them from. So anyway, I'm being careful here not to put any paint or drop any paint inside. So I am just also trying to clean up the smudges of paint that went to the iron label or the metal label holder here to make sure that it's clean. So I'm just using a damp paper towel. Now, if you haven't seen some of my DIYs when I was painting some old items that I thrifted, I also used the wet paper towel method to give it a little bit of a more aged look, okay, to kind of give it a distressed look. So, but here I'm just cleaning the glass first with my damp towel, and then I'm using it to kind of also rub off on the paint so that the paint is not really that even. It looks like farmhousey, like I said before in my other videos, that I wanted to look a little bit more kind of aged that way. So this is what it looks like. Even the sides look like shiplap. I love that. And yeah, so I'm not painting or putting in any contact paper in the inner part, because once I fill them up, they will not show up. And I'm just showing you the behind portion there. Now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to go ahead and put a burlap on the back as well as the bottom. So I'll just cover them with burlap, or maybe contact paper from Dollar Tree or Walmart. But I'm still deciding on that. You can do whatever you want. But right now, it's not really necessary because I'll be leaning this up against the wall, or it's not going to be something that you will see. So if you want to save materials, it's not something you're going to sell, or it's not something you're going to give as a gift. Here I am just going to be propping it up with my journals as well as my stickers. So the necessary items that I need for journaling. And I love that this can contain or hold so many things. So I'm just showing you a few examples here on this section. So for example, I have this kind of organized my cutting dies, you know, the metal cutting dies, and I put them in those accordion clear envelopes that you can get at Dollar Tree. I also have my traveler's notebooks there that are still unused, and I'm going to put them there in case I need to fill in my journals. So they are very accessible. I purchased some other paper pads that I got at Dollar Tree, as well as all these note cards or greeting cards, and you can see from the glass the designs as well. So yeah, I really love that this is very functional. In case you're new to my channel that you haven't seen this one here, I also use the same frames. I only painted those pieces of wood with nutmeg brown acrylic paint. So perhaps I'm going to be painting them white as well, just to match with this, because I'm thinking of probably keeping this for my craft or journaling table. Here it's going to fit in also the 6x6 paper pads, as well as the 4x5, or those smaller paper pads that they also sell at Dollar Tree or Michael's or any craft stores. And this is how I organize my paper pads. Even my 12 by 12 paper pads, I put them inverted because it's easier to find the designs that way. I don't even have to lift them up. All I need to do is use my fingers and then just flip through the pages, and then I can see the designs. And if I find anything that I like, I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up. So just an extra tip there to make it easier for you to organize your paper pads. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and use it to organize or store my potatoes, my veggies or tubers that do not necessarily need to go in the refrigerator, like these red potatoes here, and then also this gemstone potatoes. Those are the mini potatoes, as well as lemons and limes, or even garlic, or anything that can be stored outside the refrigerator or shouldn't be stored inside the refrigerator. I like that the glass itself will allow you to see what's inside, but aside from that, you can also print some labels from your printer, like what I've done here. I added labels to also identify what's inside the storage box that I just created. I love the farmhouse look, and like I said, I left the inside bare just so that it will be a little bit more rustic also, rather than putting anything there that may not match my decor. I love it. And then finally, I'm going to show you that this one will work also as a pantry organizer. You can easily identify what's inside. You don't have to put the label anymore. The label is optional, but because of the clear glass from the frame, you can easily identify the contents of each of the compartment, like this kimchi noodle soup, as well as the microwavable popcorn, and as well as this dark chocolate morsels. And at the end, I'm going to be putting some also cookies or Milano chocolate cookies that we really love in our household. This multi-purpose organizer can be used anywhere in your home, whether it's your home office, your craft room, your bathroom, your kitchen or pantry, anywhere. It can fit so many things as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I'll see you again next week for another Thrifty Thursday. Bye!